Hey, speak for yourself, listeners. Before we start the show, I wanted to tell you about our brand new Fox Sports app and website, foxsports.com. Reimagined for the modern sports fan. Go ahead, download the new app now. You don't even have to pause this episode. Every day on the new app and website, you'll see the top stories in sports, plus a rich world of written content, videos, social media, and analytics to give you a 360-degree view of the most important stories of the day. Streaming live TV has never been so easy or elegant. Every Fox Sports game, including all pregame and postgame shows, are just one click away. For the extra invested fan, we also go deep with real-time wagering lines, trending prop bets, win probability, and key player projections. So download the new Fox Sports app or visit www.foxsports.com. Now, let's start the show.
Welcome to Speak for Yourself, Marcellus Wiley. And speaking of people on their phones, Emmanuel Acho. First time I had eye contact with you in the last 10 minutes since we've been sitting on set.
People want to get in touch with me, Marcellus. I apologize.
Oh, really?
I apologize. People want to reach out to me and your phone is dry.
I wish we had that type of connection as the people on your phone do, but hey, that's life. Let's get it started in the AFC, where Baker Mayfield is coming off a 3-touchdown performance in the Browns' first playoff win in 26 years last week. Congrats. Next up for Baker's bunch, the defending champs. Sunday will be Patrick Mahomes' first game in 3 weeks. But when KC has him in the lineup this season, they won 10 straight games. So, Acho, who's under more pressure this weekend? Baker Mayfield or Patrick Mahomes?
The name that you said second, sir, Patrick Mahomes, is under more pressure. Let us talk about it very concisely, if we shall. Patrick Mahomes has more accolades.
Yes.
Patrick Mahomes has more yards. Patrick Mahomes has more weapons. Patrick Mahomes is coach. He has a better resume. Patrick Mahomes and that Chiefs team, they have more titles. He has more of everything else. Therefore, he also has more pressure.
Okay.
Patrick Mahomes, he's sitting here and he's already done so many of these things. And so he's already set the bar incredibly high for himself. Whereas if I look at it, Baker Mayfield, I said this before, playing with house money. 2012, it was May of 2012, a month after I got drafted, Cleveland, the city of Cleveland, they built a casino called Jack Casino. I've told you this before, Marcellus, I didn't really have much to do.
You lived there. That's what you told me.
That year I got hurt in Cleveland, and so because I had the knee brace on my leg, I didn't have much to do. I watched some tape. I would venture up and I would stroll into the casino. Now, I would hobble into the casino because I told you I had that brace on my knee, hobbling into the casino. An interesting thing, Marcellus, I'd go in there with maybe $500 or $800. I was a rookie, didn't have much money. And as soon as I doubled that amount of money, or as soon as I exceeded my expectations monetarily, I'd be playing with house money.
Okay.
Because now if I lose, I'm not really losing my money. I'm losing the house's or the casino's money.
Okay.
Baker Mayfield right now is playing with house money. He's already exceeded the expectations of so many that have laid out there before him. I know he's exceeded your expectations. I know he's exceeded the majority of analysts' expectations out there. I know Baker Mayfield has already exceeded expectations that the world has laid upon Baker Mayfield based on how much he struggled the first 2 seasons. And as a result, Baker Mayfield is playing with house money. So when you're talking about who has more pressure going into this game this weekend, it's Patrick Mahomes, because Patrick Mahomes got more of everything else. So obviously he got more pressure as well, big dog.
Wow. Well, you know, obviously I'm on the other side of this conversation. I think it's Baker Mayfield. Now, I want everyone to take a collective breath right now. I hope in that H, y'all can leave the word hater out of this conversation, because everyone thinks I'm a Baker Mayfield hater. Well, I'm really just trying to reinstate what I objectively feel about Baker Mayfield, where he is in his career. Now, that said, let's talk about how this is going to be more pressure on Baker Mayfield. Let's use this example.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you're talking about a casino. 2 people are betting the same exact amount, same wager. But one of them is rich and one of them is poor, or poorer by a large degree, which is Baker Mayfield versus Patrick Mahomes. Y'all lose that bet. The same bet, the same wager, who is it going to have more effect on, more impact on? The poorer person, because the rich person has equity. Rich person's like, all right, well, go into my bank account. I still have that plus some. Baker Mayfield, when he loses this game, he will go into his resume of bank accounts and look and say, Insufficient funds, because he's still imbalanced in terms of who he is. Is he a game manager? Is he a game manager plus? Is he a franchise quarterback? He lives in that spectrum right now. And while living in that spectrum, he needs moments like this to get the stripes on his shoulders. Guess what? Whenever you see somebody with the stripes on your shoulder, you salute. When you see Patrick Mahomes out there, Super Bowl champion, MVP, you salute. When you see Baker Mayfield in the NFL, you don't salute anything. So he's trying to build something. All I'm saying is there's pressure on you to not even get to Mahomes level, just to get to a level where they can depend on you, they can count on you, they can deem you a franchise quarterback. That's why there's more pressure on them.
This is about to be a heavyweight conversation. I love your take.
How much you weigh?
I love you. Okay, it's going to be a middleweight. A middleweight conversation. A middleweight. I'm not a heavyweight.
Let's go. Let's go.
I love everything you said, but I will say this, and I think this might be my strongest point, so hopefully it's the knockout blow.
Ding, ding, ding.
There's nothing Baker Mayfield can do to wipe out the success of his season. There's only one thing Patrick Mahomes can do to maintain the success of his season. There's nothing Baker Mayfield can do to wipe out the success of his season. He goes into this Chiefs game and they get blown out. We might be mad for a day, a couple hours, but you're still going to say the Browns made the playoffs for the first time since 1994, for the first time winning a playoff game since 1994, winning 11 wins as well. Like, the Browns still accomplished something they haven't done in 25 years when it comes to winning 11 games, when it comes to making the playoffs since 2002. You're still going to say the Browns have accomplished a whole lot. But Patrick Mahomes, there's only one thing he can do to maintain the success of his season, and that is win. See, Baker Mayfield, Marcellus, can go out there and he can play a close game. Baker Mayfield can go out there and he can play well. Or Baker Mayfield can go out there and he can win. 3 options still yield success for Baker Mayfield. Play a close game. Still going to get our praise because nobody expecting you to win, Browns. Go out there and play well, Baker. Still going to get applause because, Baker, if you play well and the Browns lose, that's fine because you played well. Or you go out there and win, and Baker, it's a standing ovation. Because you won.
Yeah.
But Patrick Mahomes, big dog, it doesn't matter if Patrick Mahomes plays well if the Browns lose. Excuse me, if the Chiefs lose.
Okay.
It doesn't matter if Patrick Mahomes, if he goes out there with phenomenal stats. The only thing Patrick Mahomes can do to assure success is if they win. And as a result, Patrick Mahomes, he only has one option. Baker Mayfield has 3 options. More pressure for the man that only has one option.
Oh, look at me, boy. You know, when I spread my notes out, when I get comfortable with my notes, and this pen is working, and these ears are on, but them eyes are down, you in trouble, big dog. Okay, let's talk about this. Because my first take was in Baker failure. It was Baker losing this game. Let's just talk about the case that Baker actually makes this a contest, and then let's talk about if he actually wins. If he makes this a contest, you know how he will make this a contest? By getting into a shootout with Patrick Mahomes. I told you before, of all quarterbacks in the Super Bowl era, who averages the most points per game at the quarterback position? You know what it is, Patrick Mahomes. Okay. Now let's talk about the fact that you're going to go against a guy who's going to score. All right. So then I'm Baker Mayfield, and I'm sitting there like, we got this strong running game, good defense, and I'm adequate, if not more, at the quarterback position. What will I do? All right, you want to get into a shootout like we did in college? Let's go to war. Uh-oh. Problem is, everyone on that team, including Baker Mayfield knows we're not so good in these shootouts with Baker Mayfield. Because when Baker Mayfield has to throw the ball 35 times or more, shootout, he's 5-14 in his career. Okay, so not a ton of confidence. Doesn't mean you can't do it. You won 5 times, but you lose 3 times as much as you win in those situations. So not a winning formula for Baker Mayfield to go out there and get a shootout. But let's just say he wins the shootout, big dog. I love you so much. This is why I know I'm not a hater. I give you success, Baker Mayfield. And that still doesn't guarantee you a position in the NFL as you desire as a franchise quarterback. Look at the Super Bowl winning quarterback. Let's say Baker wins this game, wins the next game, wins the Super Bowl. And everyone's like, Baker Mayfield's a franchise quarterback. Oh, pause. Au contraire, mon frere. Has anyone ever heard of Trent Dilfer? I love Trent Dilfer. I think he's like him and Bucky Brooks, my favorite football analysts. All y'all, yep, you too. All y'all. Them 2 are the ones I listen to. I said, oh, let me steal that and plagiarize that. And tremendous. Trent Dilfer wins the Super Bowl. We know heavily because of the defense, of course, and the running game. But he wins the Super Bowl, and guess what? Was he on the team the next year? Okay, let's not go to Trent Dilfer, because that's not even the best case example. This one is. Let's talk about Baker Mayfield and Brad Johnson. Do you remember Brad Johnson?
Of course, 2002?
2002 Buccaneers. Defense comes to mind again.
Of course.
And when Baker Mayfield, running game comes to mind, there's always a supporting cast. But let's look at this full screen and describe what we're seeing on this full screen. This is Brad Johnson in success. In a championship winning year, look at the comps right here. Win losses. Okay, you look at Brad Johnson over there to Baker Mayfield. Passing yards per game. Same, if not nod to Brad Johnson. Passing touchdowns to interception. Basically the same right there. Maybe a nod to Baker, maybe a nod to Brad, but they're the same. Completion percentage and passer rating. In success, that's what the cherry on top of the sundae. Brad Johnson still had to take his lumps. Even the next year, some say he played better even though he threw more interceptions. The point is, he still wasn't looked at as a focal point or a face of a franchise. Even in success, Baker Mayfield is not going to be looked at in that same respect. So my point is, there's a lot of pressure on you, Baker Mayfield, to make your way. And even in success, it's not a guarantee because of your career resume.
Okay. I'm trying to figure out how I want to dissect that.
I know.
I want to figure out how to want to dissect that. First, I'm going to talk your Brad Johnson point because let me quickly dispute that. The Brad Johnson that you just showed us is 34 years old. Baker Mayfield is 25 years old.
Yeah.
So there's a quick discrepancy there about age, and that matters. But I think what you just said actually plays into my next take. I didn't know if you were going to throw me a fastball right down the middle of the plate, but I was ready. I was ready to knock it out the park, and you did so. You made a fatal mistake. Let's talk about this, Sel.
Is it over my head?
Baker Mayfield's a top 10 quarterback, but he has a bottom 10 perception. The two biggest
Come out. When you do something like that, dog, we got to learn each other. Pause. That was a beautiful say it again for the people out there. See, I'm not a hater. I want to say that again.
You look good today, by the way. You paid me.
I got a little makeup right here. Other than that, I'm good.
You look good, by the way.
Let's hear it.
Baker Mayfield is a top 10 quarterback with bottom 10 perception. The two categories that we talk about as far as quarterbacks, passing touchdowns and interceptions. Baker Mayfield's 15th in passing touchdowns, but he's 6th in interceptions. You average that out, that's top 10. That's 10 and a half. You do the math, mathematicians. Now, because he's a top 10 quarterback with bottom 10 perception, then even if Baker Mayfield goes out there and doesn't perform great, the world will be like, well, Baker's not that good because he has bottom 10 perception. When in reality, Baker Mayfield is that good. Only sixth in interceptions on the season. Let's talk about that. So Baker Mayfield is actually very good. But the world doesn't think he's very good.
Why do we think that?
Because...
Come on now. There's wisdom in the crowd.
Correct.
So we ain't dumb.
Well, the reason is you don't get a second chance at a first impression, or a first impression is a lasting impression.
His rookie year was tremendous.
His rookie year was good for a Browns quarterback, but it wasn't good for a quarterback. His second year was atrocious for a Browns quarterback.
He broke Peyton Manning's rookie record, and it wasn't good? Okay.
Nah, I mean, let's be real.
No, we are being real. You break Peyton Manning's record, you did something.
You can break a record and still not be good for a quarterback.
I'm gonna let your take die on its own.
Because Baker Mayfield, pull it up. Baker Mayfield wasn't good his rookie year.
He certainly wasn't good his second year.
64% completion percentage. League average is 65.
That's better than this year.
Yeah, but I'm just going to do some numbers.
I'm just saying that's better than this year.
14 interceptions.
We doing that?
Baker Mayfield was good for a Browns quarterback.
He's damn near there this year. All I'm saying is he's regressed. You want to hear something? This is what's amazing about Baker Mayfield, because I don't agree with your poetic line, but I understand and respect that poetic line. Baker Mayfield has regressed every single year in one category that's going to come out in the fireworks. Yards per game. You know what they are looking at? Every year, they ask less of Baker Mayfield to get more from their team.
Is that a problem?
Hell yeah, because you're minimizing me. So if you keep minimizing me, guess what? One day you're going to make the verdict that you don't need me. That's why you're not a franchise quarterback. Bruh, when you want to get to the NFL, you want impact. You want to win, but as Kobe Bryant says, let's win through me.
But you can minimize me and maximize we. Now that's
another poem.
You can minimize.
You got a lot of poems, but bad takes. Great poems. Let's go.
You can minimize me and maximize we, and that's what the Browns are doing.
And you turn into Brad Johnson?
I don't care. But Brad Johnson won a Super Bowl, and so did Trent Dilfer. And I think as far as pressure, if Baker Mayfield wins a Super Bowl, what talking about pressure?
Hold on.
Ain't no pressure, coach.
Look, I don't know. The offseason is for the fifth-year option.
Yes, sir.
But right now, it's in balance. Is he going to even get the fifth-year option? Like, people are not sold convicted on Baker Mayfield. There's not that level of conviction. There's a level of belief. There's a level of trust, which is the things we don't see. But there's categories. There are categories where he's not getting better. He is a career, 61% passer? Come on, big dog. Like, be objective.
I am. Being objective, yards per game to me isn't indicative of a quarterback if you're getting better or not. Now, we can talk yards per attempt. We can talk yards per attempt.
Really? Oh, stop. We can talk yards per game.
Because
they calculate that.
Yards per game is dictated by how many times you pass the ball. If you have the best rushing tandem in the National Football League, I don't need you to pass.
So they can have. Now you're making another point for the organization. You've been through contract negotiations. No matter how confident you are walking in, you have to respect the counter blows, the counter punches. One of the counter punches will be, hey, bruh, we're doing better when you're doing worse, or we're doing better when you're doing less.
Thank you.
But
there's a difference.
But that's not going to help you. That's going to help us in contract negotiations. Think about it. Brad Johnson, back 20 years ago, had a higher yards per game, and they looked at him with question marks. They looked at him as suspect, and he won a championship. Brother, you can't walk into a meeting talking about, oh, they're balling, and I'm just helping an assistant, and now take care of me. They're going to say, no, we're going to take care of we.
I think it depends. If you're Baker Mayfield, it depends on this. Let's look at the organization, because at this point in time, Brown's new GM, Brown's new head coach.
Okay.
Marcellus, I do not care about how big, how lavish, how glamorous a puzzle piece is. Does it fit? I don't care how big, lavish, or glamorous a puzzle piece is. Does the puzzle piece fit? Sir, if you're looking at a $15,000 bracelet, and
that's
it's a 15, okay, let's call it, you got big money.
I'm about to say, that's like the gold ones you were wearing yesterday.
Let's talk about a $100,000 bracelet.
Too much.
It's no, we there now. You got a $100,000 bracelet, and the bracelet is comprised of interconnected diamonds. And one of the diamonds falls out. Oh my God, one of the diamonds done fell out. Now, Sal, I could go out and I could buy a $50,000 diamond to try to replace in this bracelet, but what if it don't fit, big dog? I need a piece that fits to this $100,000 bracelet. If Baker Mayfield is a piece that fits the Cleveland Browns bracelet, then I do not care if he has 200 yards per game or 500 yards per game, because the leader in yards per game this year, Deshaun Watson, him and their team was 4-12.
Yeah, but would they take Deshaun Watson if they could, all things equal? Stop it.
Yes.
Okay, another thing is, you know what an organization would say? I've been in these meetings. I was balling in these meetings. I had nothing on my resume that looked bad at the time. I was in negotiations a couple times I did. And a couple times I even went in there fully strapped with a resume. They still will beat me up. They're like, well, you don't always keep discipline on contain. The hell? I got 10 sacks. What you talking about? Contain on discipline. They find things. And one thing we could find with Baker Mayfield is anybody can hand the ball off. We don't want to hear that. And he's more than that. I know he's more than that. But that's going to be the pushback. And another thing about that bracelet, I've had that happen several times. You know what you do? Just keep spinning it so it faces you. They can't see it. You don't need to buy another bracelet in this situation. I'm looking at Baker Mayfield. In 3 years, we keep spinning it. We keep spinning who he is. We keep spinning what the effect is on the team. But the point is, there has to be a moment where Baker Mayfield stands out and says, it's all because of me. Here are his moments. Baker Mayfield in college had tremendous moments. We know he won a Heisman. In the pros, what do we got? Last week against the Steelers team that limped into the playoffs. See already how that started? 5 touchdown passes in the shootout win against Joe Burrow and the Bengals. 4 touchdowns in that win against the Titans. All right, he was killing them at halftime, 38-7. 3 more points in the second half, probably didn't need them. Obviously, they won the game. But the point of it is, either make this team need you, or you got to have those moments, or during negotiations,
here's the problem, big dog. I didn't want to have to come to this bullet just yet. I was saving this bullet for later in the show. But Marcellus, you about to make me empty the clip, so we up here. I got to empty the clip.
Always.
The problem in our current society and our problem in sports, Sel, and you're making this mistake. You only look at offensive numbers as positive attributes, meaning Baker Mayfield, all he's doing is handing the ball off. Anybody can do that. That's what the Browns are eventually going to realize.
That's what they're going to say.
Sure, that's problematic. Why? Because what does Baker Mayfield actually do? Let's talk about the 8 quarterbacks that are left in the playoffs right now. 8 quarterbacks left in the playoffs right now.
You want to do 8?
But since week 8, Baker Mayfield's only thrown 1 interception. That's the least of the remaining quarterbacks in the playoffs. You got names like Aaron Rodgers has thrown 3, Drew Brees, he's thrown 3, Patrick Mahomes, guys like him have thrown 5, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson at 6, Tom Brady at 8, and Jared Goff at 9. Let's not forget the great things that Baker Mayfield does just because they are defensive and protective statistics as opposed to offensive and aggressive statistics. Baker Mayfield is not just out here doing what anybody else can do, because actually he's beating Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, Patrick Mahomes, Jared Goff, Tom Brady, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen in that category, the second most important category when it comes to quarterbacks.
You done?
I am done.
Okay, because you just gave me a top 8, right? Let's go to the bottom 8. Baker Mayfield, lowest completion percentage this season of any of the remaining quarterbacks. So he's the least accurate. Oh, and the highest pressure moment, you're the least accurate? I don't know how much confidence you have in him. Also, the fewest total yards per game of any of the remaining quarterbacks. Okay, so you like top 8. I like bottom 8, too. Let's talk about 8. Let's talk about the fact that Baker Mayfield is going to ride in there tomorrow. Yeah, last week, dog, I had 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. What'd it do? And they're going to say, have you been studying football? Have you been studying the NFL? Because in the last 20 seasons, Acho, 3 other quarterbacks besides Baker have started their playoff career with 3 touchdowns and no interception game. But none of the previous 3 were able to carry that forward in the postseason. Culpepper, Pennington, Alex Smith. Smack. All I'm saying is be objective, keep perspective.
Objectively, let me ask you this. I know the answer, and it's not a trap question unless you want to get trapped.
You want to go to the trap? Damn.
I went to private school.
Well, you talking about bullets in one part, and now you talking about the trap?
I'm trying to speak your language. I'm here with you. I'm trying to speak your language. You understand bullets? Let's talk bullets. Okay, I understand Bible.
Let's go.
Let's talk about this, big dog.
All right,
what do you care more about? Do you care more about yards, or do you care about more touchdowns or your interceptions?
Touchdowns first, interceptions, and yards are kind of the same.
The reason that yards should end to you and everyone else be irrelevant, when the Buccaneers lost to the Saints 38-3, Drew Brees only had 222 yards.
Oh, we doing
this.
That's
less than Baker Mayfield's average.
That's coming up.
But he had 4 touchdowns. I don't care so much about yards, Marcellus. Yards to me are superfluous stat. Dak Prescott, he still led his team in yards, but he was 1-3 at the time. Deshaun Watson led the league in yards, but they were 4-12. Don't talk to me about yardage. Yardage is not an indicator of success. Let's talk about scoring touchdowns. Let's talk about protecting the football. Baker Mayfield, the reason he does not have pressure is because of the entirety of this argument right here. You have bottom 10 expectations for Baker Mayfield.
Oh, don't go back.
Even though he's giving
Don't play the hit. Hey, if you've been at the club long enough, you don't heard that song already. I ain't dancing twice, DJ.
I was playing to it as we were getting out. Okay, I was letting everybody leave the club. Boy, that track.
I might turn my phone off during this game because you and I will not pay attention because we just trying to win for Monday's show. This is going to be fun. Coming up at the top of the hour, Sam Darnold has a new head coach. We'll tell you if we like the Jets hiring Robert Saleh. Saleh? Hey, either one. But first, will the third time be a charm for the Bucs? We'll tell you if the Saints will get the best of Tom Brady again. That's next. Speak for yourself. Play with us, Saleh.
What's up, Speak for Yourself listeners? It's your boy Shay Sharp, co-host of FS1's Undisputed. I wanted to tell you about my new podcast, Club Shay Shay, where we always do something before 2 something. Each week, I sit down with a guest for a drink and conversation, and as host and proprietor of Club Shay Shay, I've welcomed in esteemed guests such as Snoop Dogg, Floyd Money Mayweather, LeVar Ball, Isaiah Thomas, just to mention a few. Whether I'm talking to an athlete, a musician, an actor, or a lifelong friend, Club Shay Shay is a place where people share inspiring and motivational stories about their journeys to prominence. The new episode drops every Monday on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe to Club Shay Shay now and make sure you never miss a new episode. Now, back to Speak for Yourself.
Welcome back to Speak for Yourself. The Bucs are facing the Saints for the 3rd time Sunday on Fox. But it will be the first time Drew Brees and Tom Brady have ever played in the playoffs. Brees and Saints beat the Bucs twice this year by a combined 46 points. You hear that, Marcellus? 46 points combined.
They beat them down.
And Brady threw 5 interceptions in the losses. Brady said yesterday, quote, "There's not a lot of bad about this team. They're pretty spectacular." So, Marcellus.
You know Brady lying.
Will Drew Brees' Saints get the best of Tom Brady?
No. Tom Brady and the Buccaneers will win this football game. Let me line this one up, line item by line item, and talk about this. First of all, we have to start here that Tom Brady has never lost to a team 3 times in one season. But I will help you out in ammunition. We just saw in 2017 that the Saints beat Carolina 3 times in one season. So it's going to be a battle of wills. Let's talk about how I read an article that said, and I quote, Drew Brees is used as an indicator of how great Tom Brady is. Whoa. And you know what the article was talking about? Drew Brees is amazing. And then there's Tom Brady. And that's the conversation that's going to be played out in the psyches of all of the players out there. We're coming out here fully strapped. And you know Drew Brees pregame, the hypest pregame speech giver there is, doing all that military stuff, everybody hype. And then you break the huddle, you're like, yeah! And then you see 12 over there looking at you like, 1 ring, 2, 3, 4, 5, another hand, 6. Okay, let's get past that, because this is a difference in the matchups of week 1, week 9, and this weekend. Let's see what has happened since the Bucs had 2 losses to the Saints this year. Bucs turned the ball over in those outings. Tampa Bay had 3 turnovers in both of those losses. But since then, the Bucs are averaging less than 1 turnover per game. Check. Tom Brady was horrible in those games. We know it. We know the numbers. We saw it. But since then, hottest quarterback going into the playoffs. Check. Offensive line struggle. Gave up 6 sacks in those games. But since then, only one NFC team has allowed fewer sacks per game than Tampa. Couldn't get the receivers involved. We know that AB was coming off the streets just learning the playbook, but now Mike Evans and Chris Godwin average combined 93 yards per game in those. But since then, they have the highest scoring and yardage trio in the NFL. Check. Last point, because I'm going to hit you with everything and see what y'all got, if y'all still standing. Defense couldn't make stops in those 2 outings. Gave up 34 and 38 points. Look at you. You're leaning back. Uh-oh. You're like, damn, Wally. But since then, the Bucs have held all 8 of their opponents under 28 points. Check, check, check. My point is this. I don't see how, really, the Saints are going to recover from the drastic difference in what they're going to see on this weekend versus week 1 and week 9. And you know it. Every player is built on mindset, conditioning, mind over matter. You see them out there, you're like, yo, we spanked them boys twice. Ain't no way they're going to – oh, whoa, what had happened? And that's what I see happening this weekend. Oh, it's going to be a Bucs victory.
Marcellus, you consider yourself an intelligent individual, correct?
Well, most people do to me, and I just think I'm all right. I went to a good school, though.
You did? You went to a good school?
I know how to dress it up.
I would say you're intelligent, fairly cerebral, all of those things. But what's interesting is the definition of insanity by some. Doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. See, Marcellus, you're giving me the same take over and over and expecting it to become good. You're watching the Saints beat the Bucs over and over, but expecting the Bucs to win. So, not my words, you're just quite literally embodying the definition of insanity. Okay. I don't think that Tom Brady has a chance, and I do think that Drew Brees and the Saints will get the best of Tom Brady because I have no reason to think otherwise. See, there are about 221 days in the offseason. Week 1, the Buccaneers, they play the Saints. The Saints, they win that game 34-23. Then there were roughly 56 days between the first time they played each other and the second time they played each other. And in between that time, we said, you know what? The Buccaneers will gain their Voltron. I've never used the word Voltron with Marcellus.
But I do.
They'll gain their Voltron.
If you say Transformers, I love you. Just keep going with it.
So in between those 56 days, we assumed that the Buccaneers would figure it all out. They'd mesh, they'd gel. Well, then after those 56 days, they played each other again, and the Saints won that game 38-3. The score actually got worse for the Bucs. Now it's been roughly 70 days or 10 weeks, depending on how you want to do your mathematics, and we're going to see the game be played again. Ain't nothing changed.
Ain't nothing
Nobody's changed. It's going to be the same. And so I would have to be an idiot. I would have to be insane to think that there would be a difference.
You said it.
I'm not convinced yet that you are. But the Saints, I think, will do the convincing this weekend. Let's bring in a logical, intelligent, non-insane individual, Greg Jennings, to formulate his take. Greg, will Drew Brees' Saints get the best of Tom Brady this weekend?
They will. They will. For all the reasons that you just alluded to, Acho. There is nothing. And Marcellus, you can make every point and every stat that you want. But the last 5 teams that the Bucs played, they all have a losing record. Let's just be honest.
We ain't lying.
You're talking about a team that beat opponents that they should have beat, played well against opponents that they should have played well against. But when it comes to playing real opponents that they're going to be facing this time of year, They just have struggled. Give you a number, 25. The reason why I give you that number is because that's what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers better get to as far as scoring points if they want to have a chance. Because every game that they've lost, and they lost 2 of those 5 games to those New Orleans Saints, they didn't score 25. New Orleans held them under 24. And everyone else in the games that they lost, they didn't get beyond that 24 mark. They better score. Another number, 4. Why am I talking about 4? I'm not talking about 4 quarters. I'm talking about those 4 down linemen that the New Orleans Saints have. That's all they need to get pressure on one truly Tom Brady, the GOAT. We all recognize him to be the GOAT, but we all understand what he struggles with. And that's interior pressure and edge pressure at the same time. And the Saints can provide that. And I'm mentioning all of these numbers and these stats. And there's one thing that stands out to me, because you can turn around and say, well, Washington had interior pressure and they had outside edge, but they didn't have the guys on the back end. They didn't have the guys that could really match up and boss up and say, I don't care who y'all got across from, because we beat you the first time. We pretty much murked you the second time, and you're coming in here again, and we gonna do the same thing. So I don't see why, and I get it. It's a different team because they've had more time. But New Orleans Saints are looking at the same timetable and saying, well, we have all our guys together. We haven't always been together all season long. We have now more time. And one more caveat, they got the better coaching. They got the better coaching. Period.
Reaching. It's one of G's best.
I'll hand it over.
It's one of G's best takes. My God.
Well, low expectations, low standards then, if you're going to say that's one of G's best takes, because G, he built up something, but it was built on a weak ground. It was built on a weak premise. Now I got to cut you. Let's talk about this. You want to bring up Tom Brady and say, well, we can't really give him credit for these last 5 weeks based on opponents. The last 5 opponents. Okay. Well, let's look at Drew Brees, since you want to talk about the context of the playoffs being different than the regular season, and talk about the last 5 times we've seen Drew Brees in the playoffs. Does he have a winning percentage or a losing percentage? Losing. What about points per game with Drew Brees and this potent offense? And let's talk about Drew Brees. This is 13-3 teams we're talking about, a couple of them. 21 points a game in the last 5 playoff games. 10 touchdowns total and 6 turnovers. That's not Drew Brees as normal. And as I always say, we saw Drew Brees last year on the football field looking like the 3rd best quarterback on that field. That includes his backup. So let's not get into context of 5 games this year or the last 5 games of the playoffs, because Drew Brees will lose that argument. Let's move to another argument you guys try to make, and it was more Acho. Acho want to say it's been 221 days since they played the first game in the offseason. And then another, 56 days, you said, Acho, for the second outing. Oh, and then he said, well, you got to be insane to think it's something that's different. Tell me if this is insanity. The Browns lost 38-7 to the Steelers in Week 6. What happened last week? Oh, what about the Rams? They lost to the Seahawks by double digits in Week 16. What happened last week? Oh, I guess a lot of insanity is running amok in these NFL streets right now. Yeah, show his face, because I don't know where y'all coming from. Like, people don't evolve. Teams don't evolve. They don't mature. They don't grow together. Y'all really gonna act like these Tampa Bay Bucs are the Week 1 Bucs? Or the Week 9 Bucs? Oh, bruh. And y'all gonna walk in there making the fatal mistake that the Saints are gonna make. That's the same team we beat up twice. Okay. Watch what happens after the Bucs show up differently.
Marcellus, I didn't say that insanity is doing one thing and expecting a different result. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. I didn't say that you can't play a team twice and see a different result. No. But the fact of the matter is, we saw the Saints beat down the Bucs once.
Yeah,
then we
the
saw
Steelers
them
beat down the Browns.
Down the Bucs again, over and over. And so now you try to be expecting a different result. No, it's not the same thing.
What?
The same thing would be, it just happened once.
Tell that to
because
Pittsburgh.
fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice. Shame on me for believing in you that you wouldn't fool me again. You out here getting fooled 3 times, coach. I don't know where the shame finna fall, but it's not falling on me and it's not falling on G because we're not getting fooled again. Again, don't let these Bucs fool you. I don't know if you bought Buccaneers stock. I didn't know that they went public. I don't know that you bought stock in the Buccaneers. But, sir, please sell it before it's too late. Please, please, please sell this stock because it's about to come crash.
I know you want to go to the stock market instead of just to my take. I mean, stock market way in New York. I'm right here, bro. You ain't say jack about my take. You just start talking poetic about insanity.
The issue with your,
go ahead.
I'm going to say something about your take.
Thank you, G. Since you cover games,
I'm going to say something about your take because you mentioned the Cleveland Browns and you mentioned the LA Rams. Well, did they get swept?
That's my point.
By the Seattle Seahawks?
That is my
Did the
point.
Cleveland Browns get swept?
Cleveland. Neither one of those situations were exactly accurate because they start resting starters in those situations. But you barely beat the JV. So go ahead. I want to hear the take still.
The point that I'm making is that all of your guys played every single game.
Oh, you thought I was done with my ammo.
All of the New Orleans Saints guys played. So when we look, and they might have been missing a few, but it didn't look like they needed them to be missing more. But my point is,
make a point.
They swept your team. They swept this Tampa Bay team, and nothing for the New Orleans Saints has gone in reverse. They get Trey Hendrickson back. They get him back. 13.5 sacks this year. Morris at the linebacker position. He's bringing heat. You got all these guys in the secondary. And this is the problem that I have with most of your tape. You're trying to make it out against to be Tom Brady versus Drew Brees.
No, not me.
Okay, yes, we all agree. Tom Brady's a better quarterback. Okay, good job.
Clap for yourself.
But Drew Brees has the better team. And that's what he bringing. He turning around like these. Y'all ready? We good? Okay, let's go.
Thank you, G.
Because we going to whoop you.
It's easy.
And yours.
It's easy.
Period.
It's easy.
Okay. You know what? You made the same mistake that so many people make in society
You ain't made no mistakes, G.
Okay, you're right. I shouldn't even say you made a mistake. I just don't believe in what he's talking about, girl. This is the problem. My takes are full of information. And your takes, Acho's takes, y'all just want affirmation. Y'all hear the top line. Like, Acho comes out with a poem every time, and then he has nothing else to say after that. And G, you actually have more to say, but you don't have a poem. And then all y'all really want is somebody just to say, hey, the Saints gonna win, right? Yeah. Okay, well, everything I say is right. I'm not like that. I'm saying listen to everything I say and then make your conclusion. Oh, a lot has changed. But since y'all want to say, Marcellus, I don't even want to talk about Tom Brady, Drew Brees. Well, let's talk about the defense. I told you the Bucs. Top 10 defense as well. This is when y'all start reading books like yesterday. What about the Saints defense that allow the same yards per play as the Bucs? Oh, what about they have the same number of takeaways? So in terms of given opportunities, it's going to be the same. But y'all keep telling me how much better this Saints defense is. Okay. How about the fact that the Bucs have more sacks and more quarterback hits? But y'all keep telling me that the Saints have a better defense. Okay. How about the fact that in the red zone, the Saints are pitiful, 29th in the NFL? But y'all keep telling me that all I'm saying is Tom Brady's better than Drew Brees, and that's a wrap. I'd like to hear something different, or we could just put it on the line.
G.
Gentlemen bet, because I'm telling you, these Bucs got it.
G, allow me to end this, sir, if I may. Marcellus, it's not that we look for affirmation as opposed to information. It's that your information is irrelevant. Why? Sir, if you're in another country and you go get a different degree, if you go study this and you do all these things, you study, you go to school, you go to grade school, you go to grad school, the problem is, it's not that you don't have that information. But when you come to America, that stuff is rendered void because in this domain, it's not applicable. It's not that the Buccaneers didn't accomplish all of these things that you're telling me that they accomplished. It's not that they didn't do all that. The problem is when they enter into the domain of the Saints, it is void because it's not applicable. So all those 40-point games that the Buccaneers had against the Falcons, against the Lions, putting up 26 against the Vikings and beating them boys down, going to Washington and beating them down, that is great. I'm not saying it didn't exist. I'm not saying those statistics aren't real. I'm not saying that that information is not existent, but it is void when it comes down to the Saints. So me and G don't waste time talking about all your statistics because once your statistics enter into this domain, They're void.
Okay, void this then, big dog. Tom Brady's hotter recently than Drew Brees. Void that. Void this. Tom Brady has had a better individual season than Drew Brees. Void this. Bucs score more points in their playoff game than the Saints. Void this. The Bucs offense is hotter. Void this. The Bucs average more points in the regular season than the damn Saints. Void all that, and then what we gonna see? What kind of show we gonna have? Huh?
Void this,
What?
because we got the same notes. Tom Brady versus opponents he's lost to during the regular season. Last 5 playoff
Talk
games.
about it,
0
G.
and 5.
Talk about it, G.
I ain't got them
Talk
notes.
about it, G.
I ain't got them notes. No.
You ain't doing your research.
You need to
doing your
update your edition of your notes, my
Oh,
brother.
okay.
Coming up, a former Super Bowl winning head coach threw shots at Deshaun Watson like Acho and Greg just threw at me. We'll tell you what we think about his criticism next. Speak for yourself. It's not that you go to grad school and grade school and
Hey, Speak for Yourself listeners. It's Charlotte Wilder here to tell you about my new podcast with Mark Titus called the People's Sports Podcast. It comes out every Thursday, and Mark and I take one of the big stories of the week, and then we go off on tangents you never saw coming. This might mean that we start talking about the Dodgers winning the World Series and end up wondering if Knicks fans deserve happiness. Or begin with LeBron's greatness and end up drafting our ultimate beer league softball team made up of old athletes. Whatever it is, the only rule of the show is that it has to be fun and funny, because these days we could all use as many laughs as we can get. So check it out wherever you get your podcasts and come down weird sports rabbit holes with us. We can't wait to have you. Now, back to Speak for Yourself.
tomorrow on Fox, the Rams take on the Packers. Coverage begins at 2:30 Eastern. Play that song. Then on Sunday, Tom Brady and the Bucs square off with Drew Brees and the Saints at 6 Eastern. NFL divisional playoffs presented by TurboTax live on Fox and the Fox Sports app. Can't wait. Welcome back to Speak for Yourself. Deshaun Watson was reportedly furious over not being part of the hiring of the Texans' new general manager and for Houston not initially interviewing Eric Bieniemy for head coach like he wanted. This started a flurry of trade rumors surrounding the Texans quarterback. That didn't sit well with former head coach Dick Vermeil, who did not hold back on Watson. Take a listen. Woo.
Okay, his contract, nowhere in his contract does it say that he's involved in making the decisions who coaches or who leads the organization.
Acho, what are your thoughts on Dick Vermeil's criticism of Deshaun Watson?
I hate it. Absolutely hate it. The problem, Marcellus, and I'm going to go broad, I'm going to come and narrow back in.
Okay.
We live in a society, we live in a country, we live in a world that says to be older is to be wiser.
Huh?
We live in a society, we live in a country, we live in a world that says if I am richer, I'm probably smarter. When the fact of the matter is, that's not true, and that's an archaic train of thought. See, we live in a world, and football exists within that world, which simply says, if I'm older than you, then I should be able to make the decisions. I should be able to call the shots. I shouldn't even really seek your input because what do you know? When, if we're being honest, Deshaun Watson, the quarterback, we already know that if the quarterback and the head coach have a great relationship, that yields winning. So why in the world would we not want to? Not even have to. Why would we not want to take the advice of our star quarterback? Because being real, Deshaun Watson has seen highs. Dabo Swinney, one of the best college coaches, football coaches of this generation. Deshaun Watson has seen lows. Bill O'Brien, one of the worst coaches of this generation. So Deshaun Watson, he's seen the full spectrum. He's seen great. He's seen terrible. I would want to get the opinion. I would want to seek the advice of Deshaun Watson. And it's not a matter of having to. It's a matter of that is in the best interest of the organization. So we have to get rid of our archaic trains of thought, which say, oh, well, you're older, so you must be wiser. No, you're older. That just means you live longer, big dog. I don't like what Dick Vermeil had to say.
Wow, I didn't expect that take, but I like that take because it was true to what you believe and what you see of this world. Now, mind you, it sounds a little biased because you are 30 years old, but...
Am I old or young?
You're young.
Okay.
I mean, based on where you are, you're young. Older than a lot of people, including all my kids in my house. but you're younger, but you've accomplished some older things. But I didn't expect that. So now I'm going to look at my notes and say, let's go to my experience. Let's go to my wisdom, the little I have. First things, great relationships, not necessary for a head coach and a quarterback for success. Give you one example. Who's the most decorated, most accomplished quarterback in NFL history? Tom Brady. His relationship with Bill Belichick Let's look at it in totality, and as you said, let's bring it and make it narrow and look at it since 2014 when all the reports started to come out and Jimmy G was drafted. In totality, that wasn't a great relationship. Matter of fact, somebody sent a clip that I retweeted, everybody want to check on Twitter, of me head bumping Tom Brady at the end of a game. I don't know what the hell I said, probably like I'm jealous, but the point is I played against Tom Brady. That wasn't a great relationship. That was a pick number 199 trying to be quiet and learn and grow his way into who he became the GOAT. But he suppressed a lot. You want to know how we know that? Because now, as soon as he left Bill Belichick and the Patriots, Tom Brady's on Howard Stern. Tom Brady is living a life. Tom Brady even said, I'm never going back there. Okay, so that relationship, whatever you want to say in totality, wasn't great. And certainly since 2014, it wasn't great. And what did they do? They went to 9 Super Bowls. Since 2014, they went to 3 Super Bowls. This whole, I need to be buddies with my coach. Okay, look at the top. They weren't buddies. Let's go into my take, though. This is interesting because I didn't have a problem with it, but I knew people would have a problem with it. It reminds me of my boy, Jason Whitlock, who used to be here right before. Yeah, I said, see, people don't know me in this business. I say what I feel, and then y'all got to figure it out. Whitlock would have a take with a nugget that you couldn't deny. That was real, true, whatever you want to say. And then it'd be an aftertaste of some seasoned salt. You're like, damn, boy, that thing's spicy. Give me some water. And that's what this felt like. I knew what Dick Vermeil was saying because I know the NFL and its history. Dick Vermeil said this in 2004. You remember Larry Johnson? Oh, he was hard to tackle. Larry Johnson. He told Larry Johnson, I quote, take the diapers off because Larry Johnson wasn't what he expected. And Larry Johnson went on to be exactly what he expected. So you can say, is that wisdom from an old man or not? But the point of it is, I knew the response would either be like yours, hate, or people would take it into a different context. But to me, it was just Dick Vermeil being Dick Vermeil. Maybe he went to the well when we've changed the water of that well. Or maybe that well is dry now because these are sensitive times. But I caution everybody, because these are sensitive times, are people just being too sensitive? Because there is a balancing act, right? You know, you can't get caught up in how you feel, in your own feelings, as the kids say, and think that that's how the world feels.
That's good. I like that take. Let's go to war.
Let's go to war.
The issue at hand is this. We only showed a portion of the Dick Vermeil quote, but just moments later, Dick Vermeil goes on to say, it's your job to get better as a player, and it's their job, and you should listen to management.
Okay.
I have a huge issue with that, and that's not a matter of sensitivity.
Okay.
Think of what management, Deshaun Watson's management, has told Deshaun Watson and the NFL at large in the past. You can't let the inmates run the prison.
Yeah, that's real.
So Dick Vermeil, if you telling Deshaun Watson to listen to management, but Deshaun Watson's own management has previously said within the last 4 years, you can't let inmates run the prison, then management has referred to Deshaun Watson as an inmate, and management has referred to the National Football League as prison. So if I'm Dick Vermeil talking to Deshaun Watson saying, hey, you become a better football player and listen to management, I'm Deshaun thinking to myself, wait a second, last time I listened to management, they said I was an inmate. Furthermore, I've become a better football player, sir. This year, my highest completion percentage while also throwing for the most yards. Typically counterintuitive. The more you throw, the less your completion percentage usually is because you're forcing things. Highest completion percentage, most yards. I got better. This year, I've thrown for the most touchdown passes of my career. I got better. This year, while throwing for the most touchdown passes of my career, I've thrown for the fewest interceptions of my career. So I'm a top 5 quarterback. What y'all as far as management? So I'm doing my job as a player, and I'm trying to help you do yours. I'm not sacrificing my job to do your job. I'm completely, fully, and thoroughly doing my job as Deshaun Watson, and you all are negating doing your job as management. So I'm fully doing mine. I'm trying to help you out. And for me, it's really that simple. I'm not costing me. Let me ball and do my thing, but let me help y'all out since y'all can't do your job either. So let me go here. Now I'm getting.
Is he going to do his job better if he does someone else's job, even if they're not doing their job as well?
Great question. In the event their job plays into his, absolutely. Sal, you get on this show each and every day and you work with a producer to develop your takes like I do. You work with a statistician to develop your takes like I do. You work with different people to develop your takes like I do. In the event you're like, you know what? let me just look up the stats.
Hell no. I've been there. I left there.
We both have. But in the event, it's like, you know what? I don't trust you to look up my stats, because when you're looking up my stats, you miss a thing or two. So I'm going to do your job along with doing my job, because doing your job actually helps me do my job better. That's all Deshaun Watson is doing. He's not saying I can't play quarterback, but he's saying, hey, helping management will help me play quarterback better. I'm a great quarterback. Let me help you, since y'all know what the heck you're doing.
Is this the same Deshaun Watson who said, please let me be involved with the process but not make the decision? That same dude?
Correct.
Oh, okay. Now he's saying it with his chest. I love Deshaun Watson. I hope he likes me a little. I don't know, because these takes could come out different ways depending on how you feel. But, bruh, just keep balling. It works itself out.
Does it?
Well, I'm not talking about he's going to win a Super Bowl. You can have the perfect situation, like Dan Marino kind of did. Remember Duper and Clayton and Dan Marino? Doesn't always work out, even if everything works for you. Here's the thing. I think y'all need to cut this old man some slack.
Here you go.
Yeah.
Why, Marcellus?
Because he's 84 on social media and TMZ pushing wine. Guess what? He is a fish out of water right now. He didn't know what the hell was going on, but Acho is going to grab it and find that seasoning and just start gnawing at this, and then there's going to be an aftertaste. I'm going to give you what I think is happening right here, because I love working with you because of our age disparity in part. This is what I call OPS. Now, you know sports, so that immediately your mind goes to baseball, right? No, let's not talk baseball. Let's talk old people syndrome. Now, everyone has it in their family, somebody that's old, who has lived more life than they're going to live going forward.
Correct.
And they all don't give a damn. They don't care what comes out their mouth. They're not looking at the changing times and sensitive 2020 and 2021. They're just like, look, I'm going to just tell you like it is, and you take it where you want to take it. This man basically went out there and said, he needs to grow up. He needs to know that there are boundaries. He needs to know that what he can do is all he needs to focus on and control. He said that in a weird way, kind of like this summer. Do you remember when Bruce Arians, who's 68 years old, one of the oldest coaches in the league, went out there talking about the protests? He was like, well, I'm more about action than protest, but hey, go protest. Ain't nothing gonna change. He literally said, nothing's gonna change. Nothing has changed since 1968. Now, you could take that a lot of ways, but in your group text, because that's the most honest place we have left in America. In your group text, everybody kind of was like, that's kind of funny. You know why? Ain't much changed since 1968, even though things have changed. My point is, damn, let the old man be, man. He's in a different world. He's on social media. He don't know what the hell we're going to do.
I respect it. All I'm going to say is this. I understand that might have been an old man take.
That was an old man take.
Old man takes, if young people digest it, they become young man takes. It's just my fault. It's my job to make sure we knock off these old man takes, because there's been a lot of old man takes, not just sports related.
I'm guilty too. I love old man. That's all I got. And they on my head right now for some of the takes I got. I'm an old ass man. I'm going to tell you like I take it, like I feel it. Y'all need to shut up, youngsters. Coming up, Sam Darnold's Jets are making moves. We'll tell you if we like them hiring Robert, what's his last name? Saleh? All right, I got it right this time. As their new head coach. Next, speak for yourself. You're watching Speak for Yourself. Marcellus White, the old man, and Emmanuel Acho.
Hey, Sal, you sweating a little bit. I see I got you fighting for your life right now.
Well, that and my metabolism finally turned back on after losing about 5 pounds. All right, let's head to New York, where I used to roam. And the Jets named Robert Saleh as their new head coach yesterday on a reported 5-year deal. Saleh was the Niners defensive coordinator for the last 4 years, and in the last 2 seasons, his defense ranked top 5 in the league. Saleh is now the 4th minority head coach in NFL. Happy, Acho? Greg is back with us, but Acho, your book is working. Do you like the Jets hiring DC Robert Saleh as their head coach?
I love them hiring Robert Saleh, but I do not necessarily think it's going to work. See, I love them hiring Robert Saleh because it said that Joe Douglas, the general manager for the Jets, didn't know Robert Saleh before the 2 interview Zooms. He just talked to him. He realized he was the best man for the job. And we finally saw that a meritocracy paid off. They hired the best man, not the man that they were friends with. But why don't I think it will work? because I've personally seen this picture before. Played linebacker in the National Football League. I may not have been the most physically gifted, but I definitely tried to be a student of the game, so I tried to listen to the teachers of the game. Let's talk about the defensive brilliant minds that became head coaches. Todd Bowles, Arizona Cardinals. He was a brilliant defensive mind, still is current defensive coordinator for Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, he goes to the New York Jets where he has a good year because he has a quarterback and an offensive coordinator. Chan Gailey, an offensive coordinator, quarterback, you have Ryan Fitzpatrick. He had a good year, but then he lost his OC, his QB, and that dissolved. No more goodness. Let's now talk about Gus Bradley. Gus Bradley, a phenomenal defensive mind. He was the architect for the Legion of Boom for the Seahawks. He goes to the Jaguars. No quarterback, had Blake Bortles, no offensive coordinator, so he had no success. Okay, let's talk about Dan Quinn. He took over for Gus Bradley, former head coach for the Atlanta Falcons. When did Dan Quinn have success? When he had a great quarterback, Matt Ryan, Fringe Hall of Famer, and a great offensive mind as offensive coordinator in Kyle Shanahan. He loses Kyle Shanahan, he loses a success. So while the hire in and of itself of a great head coach, a phenomenal leader of men, a galvanizing leader, a phenomenal defensive mind, while that hire in and of itself is great, and I love that hire, the success of the Jets actually isn't contingent upon Robert Saleh. Because when we've seen defensive minds like Todd Bowles, brilliant, defensive minds like Gus Bradley, #1 scoring defense in the league, and Dan Quinn, 2 years in a row, the #1 scoring defensive in the league, they all became head coaches. What was their success predicated upon? An offensive coordinator and a great quarterback. Right now, the Jets have a young, talented stud, but what's the issue at hand? Can you get that young, talented stud, Sam Darnold, becoming great with an offensive mind that is great? That's what's yet to be seen.
I agree with a lot of what you're saying. I think Saleh is definitely the guy for the job for a lot of reasons, and I think he will have success. He's bringing over Mike LaFleur, the brother of Matt LaFleur in Green Bay, a guy who has been tutored under Kyle Shanahan, understands how to run an offensive passing game, understands scheming, matching up, getting best matchups and things like that on that side of the ball. But what I love most about Saleh is what you're seeing. His energy, his authenticity, his ability to relate to every single player and speak to them from a place of truth and honesty. And when you have a coach like that, that's where it starts. I get it. He has a lot that he's going to be up against and that he has to work through. But how you start to work through those things is you got to find the right guy, a guy that can speak to every man in the locker room and relate to every man in the locker room. And that's what Robert Saleh provides the New York Jets, something that Adam Gase did not. When you look at his track record, there were a lot of guys out on him the day he walked in. You can't be successful when you have a hire like that. But when you have everyone in the 49ers organization, from top to bottom, and specifically the players, when you talk about Fred Warner and Nick Bosa and all these great players talking so highly about one individual and how they made them better. You talk about a Richard Sherman, a future Hall of Famer, where he's talking about everything that he did for him, just allowing him to become even greater of a player later in his years and getting guys to adapt. Less is more. Talking to Robert Saleh, and I'll say this, and this will be it. He's going to simplify things for the Jet. He's all about doing what he does well and repeating that success. Period. Less is more when you're dealing with new pieces that are going to have to take on new information. It starts with the head coach. They got that right.
Yeah, I like the hire. There's nothing not to like about the hire if you look at what he's done so far with the opportunities he's been given. It's interesting. I like to be consistent, even though I will maneuver and change with new information. But my co-host, Acho, not the same. He don't care what he says. His takes will change as much as we change our swag war suits. Like yesterday, he was talking about he liked coaches that built something, not just went somewhere. And then we're going to look at Robert Saleh and not like the fact that he helped build up the Niners defense. Like he really changed what they were doing. Remember, they had the worst total defense in the NFL the year before he was hired as the defensive coordinator. Then year one, 24th. Year two, 13th. Year three, 2nd. Year four, 5th. despite massive injuries. I'm talking about Nick Bosa played 2 games. D Ford played 1 game. Richard Sherman played 5 games. Solomon Thomas played 2 games. And still 5th in total defense? Ooh, that's a resume right there if you're talking about a promotion from the defensive coordinator position. And then he goes to a situation where the Jets have ranked 20th or worse in scoring defense 4 of the last 5 seasons. Can't we see that mesh right there? That matchmaking right there? Matchmaking in heaven. Jets have 2 first-round picks in both the 2021 and 2022 drafts. Oh, number 2 and number 23 overall picks. Why would that matter? Because he can help change the defense, but more importantly, they don't have, this is crazy. The only team in the NFL without a single Pro Bowler on this roster are the New York Jets. And they have all this draft capital, and now they have a coach that can change at least the defense. And all you can look at now is, can he develop the quarterback? Well, yeah. How did Bill Belichick, a defensive-minded coach, do at the quarterback position? What about Pete Carroll? I could keep going down this list, but offensive-minded coaches not guaranteed to change a quarterback's development. Matt Nagy and Mitch Trubisky, how is that working out right now? The point is, I don't see much on his resume not to smile about. So unless Acho changes my mind, I'm all in on this Robert Saleh hire.
I like Robert Saleh, the individual. I like the Jets organization outside of Adam Gase. I think they got cool colors. I think they play in a historic stadium. But I'm just saying I do not like the matchup. Yes, we can find outliers, Marcellus. Bill Belichick, Tom Brady, they're an outlier for nearly every statistical metric. They're an outlier for any sort of coach-quarterback composition. But I look at it like this. There are 8 teams currently left in the playoffs. 6 of the head coaches have an offensive background. 1 coach has a special teams background in Harbaugh. And then there's Sean McDermott. But what does Sean McDermott have? A young, talented, provenly talented now quarterback, and a phenomenal offensive coordinator in Brian Daboll. I'm not saying that Robert Saleh will not work. I like Robert Saleh. I love what he's done from a defensive perspective. But we've seen phenomenal defensive minds become head coaches before, and it has not always panned out. Coming up, the Browns are a heavy underdog Sunday against the Chiefs. We'll tell you if Baker's bunch has any chance. That's next. Speak for yourself. Find out. Now, Baker Mayfield won his first career playoff game in last week's upset against the Steelers, but now his Browns are going on the road to face the defending champion Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes' squad are a huge 10-point favorite according to Fox Bet Sportsbook, but OBJ, Odell Beckham Jr., he's out for the season, but still got faith in his Browns. He tweeted, "Don't be surprised this weekend when they win. Just throwing it out there now." Our guy, Greg Jennings, NFL analyst, is back with us. But Marcellus, you giving Baker's Browns any chance to upset the Chiefs?
No, I'm not giving them any chance. And I'm not going to lie. I'm starting to feel a certain way about myself about talking about Baker Mayfield. Because y'all keep putting me in the same position. What's next? You're going to ask me about my ex-girlfriends? Guess what I'm going to say? Some good, some bad, but ultimately you know what I thought. Not enough. And that's the same way I think about this team, the Browns and Baker Mayfield. Not enough. Okay, let's talk about who they're going to face. You're going to face the Kansas City Chiefs. And you look at the Kansas City Chiefs when they face teams like Baker Mayfield's teams, those bottom 15 scoring defenses. They're 8-1 against those teams, 23 total touchdowns and only 3 turnovers. And if you look at Baker's team, they don't have the greatest defense. And now you're going to look at them, who have given up over 800 yards the last 2 weeks. Yeah, the Cleveland Browns have. And now they're going to go into a shootout in Arrowhead against Patrick Mahomes, who has scored the most points in the postseason and Super Bowl era history. You're going against that offense, and you're going in there strapped with this undermined defense and saying, hey, we're ready to go to war. I'm not giving them a chance, man, by the stats and just by my eyeballs. Looking at this team, it's a bad matchup. Mahomes, Mayfield, defense, it's not good enough. Sorry, no chance.
I'll say this. Any matchup, in theory, is a bad matchup for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Thank you.
But Baker's Browns are as good as a matchup as you can get, therefore I'm giving them a chance.
Oh, really?
What do Baker's Browns have to do to win? The same thing they've done all season long. Baker, do not turn the ball over. Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb, be able to run the ball. Myles Garrett, do what you do that made you a first-team All-Pro and go get after the quarterback. When Patrick Mahomes has lost 8 of his 9 games, he's lost those games because teams have run the ball on them, averaging 170 or so rushing yards per game. Well, Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, they average 173 scrimmage yards. They average 140 or so rushing yards. So the Browns' recipe for their success is actually the same recipe for the Chiefs' defeat. But let me put it to you like this. In the NFL, you can lose a game or you can win a game. That might sound dicey.
Oh, that was deep.
Makes sense. The Pittsburgh Steelers, Marcellus, you came up here and said it, so let's not be facetious with it. The Steelers lost to the Browns. Yes, the Browns won, but the Steelers gave that game away by turning the ball over. Fumbled snap, first play of the game. Then all of a sudden, Ben Roethlisberger, 4 interceptions. The Steelers lost more than the Browns won. What we know about the Browns is they're not going to lose a game because Baker Mayfield is not going to turn the ball over. 1 interception in his last 350 or so passes. Baker Mayfield is not going to lose the game. So they're going to force the Chiefs to go out there and beat them. For that reason, the Chiefs definitely have a shot if it comes to losing to the Browns.
You know, the Cleveland Browns have a chance, and this is why they have a chance in my book, because I was taught you respect your opponent. That is the only reason why I think they have a chance. Because I'm respecting them as the opponent that is going to have to face the Kansas City Chiefs. This is why they will not win. They have to do all those things that you just said, Acho. They have to not turn the ball over. They have to be able to run the ball to keep the ball away from Patrick Mahomes so that he doesn't get the ball in his hands. They have to check every box on their side. And then they have to hope that the Kansas City Chiefs check every box to help them. That just is too much dependent on another opponent where you can't control just your own destiny. It's like being the playoff team or the potential playoff team that's hoping for someone else to win their game in week 17 so that you can get in. It would be better fitted and better suited if you just did your job and it was all relying upon you and your wins. When I look at this Kansas City Chiefs team and I look at the Baker Mayfield-led no turnover, but then give up all you want on the back end defense, look at what happened with the Pittsburgh Steelers. They could not stop them. They couldn't stop Ben Roethlisberger in that offense, an offense that we all saw sputter, think and dunk, said, oh, my goodness, they look completely different. They can't score. Now you talk about we got to cover Travis Kelce. We got to cover Tyreek Hill, Mecole Hardman, all these millions of names of guys that you can just throw the ball to one time and strike up the band. That is what scares me when it comes to the Baker Mayfield-led Cleveland Browns. They don't have enough firepower, and if the Kansas City Chiefs don't help them and give them an assist like the Pittsburgh Steelers did, they don't have a chance.
Fellas, let's turn the cameras off if we can, and can we just have a conversation?
Hell no, I'm cute today.
Look, man.
Keep 'em on. I'm looking good.
You going where I'm going.
All right.
Fellas, let me take y'all back to your single days if I can. It may be hard.
Honey, turn the camera off.
But let me take y'all back to your single days.
No, I'm out.
Fellas, if we were to go to the club, right? And when, trying to get chose, you hoping they checking. Gee, that's what you go to. You're going to put on your best outfit.
I'm already off.
You're going to put on your good cologne. You don't do that because, gee.
Are we in high school? I'm not broke.
Look, man, I don't
choose me.
I just don't want my money to attract, Sal. Okay, some of us have to work harder. Okay, I didn't sign a second contract.
You played the game wrong.
I didn't play the game well. I didn't play the game well. That was the problem.
Acho, stop saying my name. I'm the longest tenured married guy on this screen right now.
Look, y'all travel with me, fellas. The thing is, you got to put yourself in a position for them to be checking for you. Now, you might be in the club and they still might not be checking for you, but you got to put yourself in a position for them to be checking for you. Gee, you hit the nail on the head. You said this. You said the Browns are going to check off every single box. That means they're already putting themselves in a position to win the game. Now, on the flip side, the Chiefs got to check off some boxes too. But the Browns are going to be able to run the ball. Gee, it's not something they can't do. They naturally run the ball. The Browns are going to have to protect the football. It's what they do all the time. They protect the football. Browns are going to have to get after the quarterback. Gee, that's what they do all the time is get after the quarterback. So you're not asking the Browns to do something that is too far-fetched. You're just asking them to go to the club and look good. That's what they do. They step on the field and they do all those things. But let me give y'all another layer here. Talk about the 4 teams that had the bye weeks last year. Ravens had a bye week. Oh, they lost coming off their bye. Chiefs, they came off their bye week in the playoffs. Oh, they were trailing 24-0 at one point. The Packers, they came off their bye week in the playoffs. They won that game by 5, but Russell Wilson had the ball with 2.5 minutes left to go down and take the lead. The only team that came off their bye and dominated was the 49ers, who dominated the 49ers who dominated. And so when I really think about it, it's the teams that have the bye week, you already know it's going to be a little bit of a struggle, G. You already know it's going to be a little bit of a struggle, Marcellus. Chiefs coming off this bye week, assuming there's going to be a little bit of a struggle, that's chance enough for the Browns to capitalize.
I hear you, and I respect all of that. However, you can get after Patrick Mahomes all you want. You can pressure him. He's excellent against pressure. So he's seen it all. And when you think about Andy Reid and having more time to prepare for an opponent, there is no better coach you want to have. 24-4 coming off after a bye. Like, it just gives him more time to prepare against an opponent that he already truly believes, you know what, all we got to do is not help them. We've all been in the locker room. We've all been in the locker room, and I'm just going to keep it 100.
100.
We've all played a team where a coach says, guys, we cannot go out there and give them the game.
Give them the game. Of course.
That lets you know right there as a player. Look, the expectation is we're going to beat this team. All we got to do is not help them, not give them free points, not do what the Pittsburgh Steelers did and say, here you go. Here is food to eat. You can eat. We starve. That's the no-no.
Man.
The Kansas City Chiefs don't do that after buys, let alone in the playoffs. They scored at least 30 points. They're going to give it to you. Regardless of what you do, they were down 0-24 against Deshaun Watson. They were down in the Super Bowl. They are the most resilient bunch we have watched in the last few years because of that guy throwing the football.
Mahomes has not lost a game in the playoffs, and don't y'all dare come up to me tomorrow. He did lose to New England. D Ford lost to New England, and he was just on the Chiefs because Patrick Mahomes doesn't lose in this time of year. Acho, your whole little example, I'm sorry. I got drafted at the age of 21. I was already that dude, so I ain't go nowhere with cologne looking cute and say, I hope she chose me, because you know the name of the game. She chose me. Anyway, let's talk about this tape.
You was hanging with gold diggers. That's what you say.
What's new for you? I don't know what you're I'm just telling you my experiences. I wasn't the one saying, hey, I'm cute. I was like, all right, I hear you. All right, anyway, let's talk about y'all think this is live? All right, let's talk about the fact that the Browns this offense is going to keep up with this fire-powered offense from the Chiefs? Really? When they've been held under 25 points in 3 of the last 4 games? Oh, but their defense is going to come to save the day for Baker Mayfield. I told you they've given up over 800 passing yards in the last 2 games, including 315 to Mason Rudolph when they had to win that game. Y'all better stop with this. This is what my coach used to always say. This is a licking our chops game if you're Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. I can see Andy Reid right now. We call them limo games. Andy Reid on the phone. Yeah, I like to place an order. Yeah, 53 limos. Send it to the Browns hotel. And that quarterback, give them 2, a long stretch one, because they want them to show up at Arrowhead because they know the pain that they're going to play. Only 2 ways this game, the Browns have a chance. Greg mentioned one. Just respect your opponent. Anybody could throw a haymaker and knock you out. Or what happened last week. Watch the first play from scrimmage. If the Kansas City Chiefs snap the ball into the end zone and all of a sudden Cleveland gets a touchdown, then maybe they got a chance. But outside of that, bro, it's a wrap, or as we used to say, burrito wrap. Coming up, Aaron Rodgers is the MVP front runner, but we'll tell you if his Packers are a lot to beat the Rams tomorrow. That's next. Speak for yourself. I ain't saying she a gold digger. Welcome back to Speak for Yourself. The Packers had a week to rest. Now they're facing the Rams at home tomorrow on Fox. Green Bay is rolling right now with a 6-game winning streak. And MVP frontrunner Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Donald, who is expected to play with a rib injury, said Rodgers is, quote, playing lights out this year. Oh, really? Greg is here, but Acho, are the Packers a lot to beat the Rams?
No, I don't think so, man. And I don't think so for the primary reason of I can never, ever, ever count Sean McVay out. Like, let's be real. Sean McVay went to Seattle last week, definitely the underdog. Without his starting quarterback in Jared Goff, John Wolford was supposed to start. John Wolford did start. 8 or so plays into that game, all of a sudden Wolford's knocked out. Jared Goff was a break glass if needed type of player, not supposed to play in that game. 12 days removed from thumb surgery. All of a sudden, Jared Goff is in the game. Only passes the ball 19 times. But the Rams still pull off that victory handily, 30-20. So I understand you're talking about Aaron Rodgers. You're talking about LaFleur, one of the brightest young minds as well, along with McVay. You're talking about home field advantage. I get all that. But I can't count out when you talk about Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, the defensive studs, plus what McVay can do with his mind, creating the gadget plays on offense. I won't count them out.
I hear you, and
I acknowledge your existence.
Yes, I feel the same way, Greg. You speak.
I acknowledge.
I
that.
hear you.
And, I don't count them out, but they're out. Like, I mean, as much as I like this Rams team, and I do think that they pose a lot of problems for this Green Bay Packers team, I just think with this team and their understanding of the window that they have in front of them with Aaron Rodgers, they're going to get it done. And his level of play. When you look at Sean McVay, it's really about Sean McVay and Mike Pettin. Because those are the two that are going to be dueling it out. And whoever wins that matchup, the Rams offense versus the Packers defense, will win this game. And I believe Mike Pettin has the advantage because they understand what needs to be done. Not that Sean McVay doesn't, but they have the pieces on the back end to match up. And they will have to sell out against the run. That's the one thing that the Rams could do and pose a problem for the Green Bay Packers. Offensively, when you look at this matchup, I love everything about Brandon Staley. He makes great adjustments. Matt LaFleur does as well. But the X factor is Aaron Rodgers. It's just that simple. I don't even really want to go into detail. It's just that simple. Like,
Please do. You know I'm better than all of us.
It's Aaron Rodgers, man.
Simple as that? Okay, well, we understand. I mean, you had tremendous success with Aaron Rodgers, so obviously the proof is in the pudding, but I'm with you, G. It was hard for me to come up with a take, and then I remember this is not the same lock as the Browns versus Chiefs, because the Chiefs are like, come on. But it's pretty damn close. I mean, once again, if Green Bay snaps the ball in the end zone on the first play from scrimmage, hey, the Rams got a chance. But maybe there's going to be some icy roads out there and the whiteouts and the black ice. Maybe that keeps Aaron Rodgers from showing up to the game, because if he shows up, he's going to show out. Let's talk about the fact that Aaron Rodgers in cold weather games is Aaron Rodgers. Meanwhile, Jared Goff in cold weather games, oh my God, the team scores only 13 points a game. His completion percentage is 49%. That gets you out the league if it was warm weather. He throws more interceptions than touchdowns, and his passer rating is a 60 in cold weather games. That means under 40 degrees. I predict it will be under 40 degrees this weekend. So I watched this team practice this week, watching the Rams. The quarterback is now trying out gloves already in his head. We were talking about Lamar Jackson in the headlines about the cold. I ain't never seen Jared Goff with gloves on. He may have worn them before, but he's like, I just want to get some reps just to see how it feels. Now, he meant two things. One, how cold it's going to be, and I don't perform well in the cold. But two, I can't really grip the ball fully just yet. So you got a compromised quarterback there. And then I was looking for Cooper Kupp. I was like, Cooper Kupp, are you practicing this week? Nope, no Cooper Kupp. So your security blanket's out, you can't grip the ball, and it's cold as hell, and you sorry in the cold. Then you're like, our defense is going to bail us out. Oh, really? Oh, Terminator. Oh, Aaron Donald sitting there like, hey, bro, I can't breathe right now. I got ribs right now. So these double teams, these triple teams, everyone's like, he's going to be fine. He's going to get his shot, and he's going to be great. For how long, y'all? I don't doubt Aaron Donald. I doubt anybody with ribs. When a quarterback has ribs, they change the entire offense, and the dude can barely play. Come into the trenches. Greg wasn't in the trenches. Acho, you weren't even in the trenches.
Vacated in them trenches.
I mean, you would go over there with a buddy pass, but you never came in there solo creeping the back alleys. Every play, I had to be in them trenches. And I never had ribs, thankfully. And it still hurt. Imagine it with ribs, man. If you got something to say, Acho, because I don't think they got
I do. I like y'all's takes, but I think y'all's takes are more narrative-based than they are factual-based. The reason so is we've seen the number one offense and the number one defense square off in the playoffs 4 times since 2000. 3 out of those 4 matchups, the defense has won. Now, I don't necessarily love that statistic because we're in a day and age now where usually offense wins. This is why this is going to be such a good game, because it's going to be an unstoppable force, an immovable object. Remember, whenever you have a great offense, sooner or later, somebody going to have to find a way to put them in check. Jalen Ramsey, Devontae Adams. I trust Jalen Ramsey just as well in that matchup. Aaron Donald versus anybody. I trust Aaron Donald just as well with in that matchup. Even with Aaron Donald's not like me. I don't trust me in that matchup. You was a beast. Maybe he's like you.
I don't trust me
But
either.
I'm like, Aaron Donald, one of the greatest defensive linemen probably to ever play. I'm going to trust that dude, but I look at it like this. Aaron Rodgers has played the number 1 scoring defense 7 times in his career. He's 3-4 in those matchups. He's 1-1 in the playoffs. I'm not just going to act like this is about to be a cakewalk for the Packers. They're going to have to show up, not just play, but play well.
Hey, man, here's the weather prediction for Green Bay. Projected to be in the low 30s with some potential snow. Uh-oh. I told you how bad Jared Goff is in cold weather games. Literally, the headline goes, Goff in games under 40 degrees, second worst in the NFL in passer rating. That's not good. You better pray for traffic on the way to the stadium that blocks all of the Green Bay players from getting there, and then they hijack Aaron Rodgers like some old movie style, because there's no way, no how, I see if everyone shows up on that field that they got a chance to beat these Packers. All right, Terry Bradshaw, our man, is raising the Super 6 stakes again for divisional weekend. First, he's putting $250,000 up for grabs tomorrow for Rams-Packers. Then on Sunday for Bucs-Saints, he's sweetening the deal even more by giving away another $250,000. Damn, this contract different than ours. All right, plus his all-new 2021 Ford F-150. Sticking with the Rams and Packers, one of the questions is, which team will win and by how many points? Acho, who you like?
Packers will find a way to squeak it out. Give me 27-25 Packers.
Greg, sneak in here. What you?
Well, you know where I'm
little Pop Warner.
You already know. I got the Packers 2017. I think it'll be a tight game, defensive game. Cold weather will play a factor.
I got the Packers, but it's going to be 38-11. Yeah, 11. I said it. They're going to go for 2 and think they got something to get a field goal at the end. That's it. Download the free Fox Super 6 app and make your picks for your shot to win big. All you have to do is correctly predict 6 outcomes for each NFC divisional game this weekend. Coming up, Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen are each battling for their second career playoff win. We'll tell you which quarterback gives us more confidence. That's next on Speak for Yourself.
Welcome back to Speak for Yourself. Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen both got their first career playoff win last week. Now they're facing each other tomorrow. Both teams are coming in red hot. Lamar has 16 total touchdowns during the Ravens' 6-game winning streak, while Allen has 22 total touchdowns and the Bills' 7 straight wins. So, Marcellus, you more confident in Lamar Action Jackson or Josh Allen?
Stating for the record, I prefaced everything I'm saying with, I love both of these quarterbacks. Do not ever make me decide which one I would start a franchise with. That said, I'm picking Lamar in this conversation. I have more confidence in him because he can do it ugly and still win. Think about it. I love both, but Lamar doesn't have to check the typical box that Josh Allen has to check for his team to win. We saw it even last week. I mean, Lamar Jackson could go out there 180-some passing yards, 100-some rushing yards, and you're like, did that add up to a win? Oh, yes, it does. Meanwhile, Josh Allen will go out there and nearly have to play a perfect game and still have to have a nail-biter against the Colts. And why do I bring up the Colts? Because the Colts did something that was historic in their loss. They had 472 yards and no turnovers and still lost. And that's telling because that's what it feels like with Buffalo. Josh Allen, you got to do everything in part because you don't have the same support in your running game. Lamar has help in his running game, averaging 262 rushing yards over the last 6 games. So a lot more is on Josh Allen to play perfect football. And even in playing perfect football, as of last week, it still was that close. Lamar's going to play ugly and still get it done. Kind of like how your teammates, you were talking about going to the club, especially the old lineman, ugly. That's your girl? Like somehow they still get it done despite being ugly as hell. That's Lamar Jackson in this situation.
I like that parallel, big dog.
It's real.
Old linemen do be ugly and still getting it done.
Done.
Let me say this. I like Josh Allen. I'm more confident in him, and I'm more confident in him because it reminds me of that old commercial. It may have been a Michael Jordan commercial. I just maybe Mia Hamm commercial. And it said, anything you can do, I can do better. I can do anything better than you. No, you can't. Yes, I can. Anything Lamar Jackson can do, Josh Allen this season has done better. You want to talk about passing touchdowns, 26 to 39. You want to talk about rushing touchdowns, 8 to 9. You want to talk about completion percentage, 65 to 70. You want to talk about passer rating, 98 to 108. Anything Lamar Jackson has done this season, Josh Allen has done better. Marcellus, did you play the NCAA football game back when it used to be out?
No.
Well, on the NCAA game, every now and then, there would be like a blinking icon under one of the players that was red hot.
Oh, I
and
heard
it
about
essentially insinuated they were the impact player. They couldn't fire right now. You could make it Super Mario when you had the glowing icon and you could just do whatever.
Or when you eat a pellet in Pac-Man. No, the big one, the super pellet.
Why you had to go so old school?
Come on.
Pac-Man's such an old
46, 30.
Let's talk. Yes, when you ate the super pellet in Pac-Man.
Yeah, you can do anything.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what Josh Allen is right now.
Okay.
He's in a zone like Lamar Jackson was in last year. Last year, we respected the zone Lamar Jackson was in. That's where Josh Allen is now. He might not be better than Lamar Jackson, but he's playing better. For that reason, I got more confidence in the dude, the 77% of his team's offense, as opposed to Lamar Jackson, just 61.
So that fire icon, that fire symbol, that super pellet that Josh Allen has this year, that Lamar had last year, how'd that work out for Lamar last year, having that super pellet? Oh, yeah, lots on his shoulders, right? That's the flip. It's all on Josh Allen's shoulders this year. This is what's telling, being real. In wins this season, including the playoffs, Josh Allen has accounted for more yards per game and more touchdowns per game. Let's get deeper. Allen has accounted for 300-plus yards in 9 of his 14 wins, where Lamar, 300-plus yards, only in 2 of his 12 wins. Oh, we don't need you to throw the ball like that. Allen has accounted for at least 3 touchdowns in 10 of his wins, where you look at Lamar, only in 6. They just need Josh Allen to do more, and then even in that, they don't have the same security as they do with Lamar Jackson. Go Jack. Coming up, Urban Meyer is headed to Jacksonville. We'll tell you what the big hire will mean for, as my Acho man says, Jaguars. Next, speak for yourself. Welcome back to Speak for Yourself. The Jaguars made a big splash by hiring our own Urban Meyer as their next head coach. Meyer won 3 national championships in college and is joining the Jaguars team that finished with 1 win last season. But they're expected to draft Clemson quarterback Trevor Lawrence with the #1 pick. So, Acho, what will Urban Meyer's hire mean for Jacksonville?
Man, I think it means they have success next year. This isn't one of those slow cookers. You and I talk about this often on the show. We live in a microwave society. I want it, and I want it now. I think that's what the Jaguars are going to get. Jaguars?
Wars.
I'm
not Webster, but wars.
Jaguars. See, I say crayon instead of crayon. Like I say caramel instead of caramel. There's a lot going on.
Okay.
But I think that the Jaguars will have instant success. Urban Meyer, he goes to Bowling Green, takes them from 2-9 to 8-3. Urban Meyer goes to Utah, takes them from 5-6 to 10-2. Urban Meyer goes to Florida, takes them from 7-5 to 9-3. Then the next year wins the national championship. He goes to Ohio State, takes them from 6-7. Next year 12-0, and then he wins the national championship 2 years later. Urban Meyer isn't one of those slow cookers. He's not one of those. Let me preheat the oven to 350, bake, and wait for 15 minutes until you hear beep. Nah, open up the microwave, put that in, and those wins start cooking imminently. So what does it mean for the Jaguars? It means that they will win, and I think they win this year.
Yeah, for me, it's stability. It's the faith. You can believe in Urban Meyer and what he brings. He's box office, his impact. Like, it's going to be must-watch TV, especially in the early parts, to just see the effect of Urban Meyer in Jacksonville. Let's just be real about that. They went through a Minshew mania that was short-lived, but they went through it. You imagine Meyer mania down there? It's going to be insane. I played in Jacksonville for a couple years. I understand that effect he will have. But the biggest effect he will have is in the fact that he walks in the room and demands respect. Mm-hmm. And we know respect is earned, not given. So many coaches are hired, and we're told that we should give them respect. But I'm going to tell all the coaches out there, when you have that first practice session and that first team meeting, some of the players, even if they're not eye-rolling inside their head, they're doubting you. I've been there before. I'm like, this dude don't know what he's talking about. But with Urban Meyer, you're all ears. You're all in full attention. Salute to Urban Meyer in the building. We talk about his success. We talk about his transition. He's not the first to make that transition successfully. Tom Coughlin did it, Bill Walsh, Denny Green, Jim Harbaugh. We talked about guys. We understand that. But there's something about his instant success, how he just microwaves that success, doesn't slow cook it in the oven, that I'm looking forward to seeing in my old stomping grounds in Jacksonville.
I respect that. I'm going to say this, and I'm going to finish my thought process real quickly. To win in the playoffs, to get to the playoffs, you have to win your division. 8 division winners this year. All of those division winners, I'm going to talk about the 7. I'm going to discard the NFC East, and you'll see why. I'm going to discount the NFC East. All of those division winners have the best quarterback-coach combination. Let's start with Seattle and the Seahawks. Russell Wilson, Pete Carroll, best quarterback-coach combination. Saints, Drew Brees, Sean Payton, best quarterback-coach combination. Then you hop over to the AFC, if we shall. The Chiefs, Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, quarterback-coach combination. Vrabel, Tannehill, best quarterback-coach combination. The one that you could argue a little bit is Roethlisberger, Tomlin. If you want to argue that they have the best quarterback-coach combination. I will say that that's the only one that you can dispute. Yeah. So now I'm talking about Trevor Lawrence, who they'll likely draft #1 overall. Yeah. Urban Meyer, that is instantly one of, if not the best quarterback-coach combination in the division. If we know that a quarterback-coach combo equals division winner equals playoffs, playoffs equal ticket to potentially winning games and Super Bowls, then give me Urban Meyer, Trevor Lawrence. I think that's lethal.
Yeah, man. And to me, it's an inspiring parallel as well. Looking at ownership, I always quote this, second fastest owner to 100 losses in NFL history. But why is it inspiring? And it's a parallel to my life and my existence. Your circumstances don't necessarily dictate your success. Because Jacksonville, sorry as hell. But Urban Meyer hits there, no matter what's around him, he's going to make it work. Look forward to that. Coming up, Uncle Jimmy joins us, and he's revealing the only way the Browns could beat the Chiefs Sunday. This is going to be interesting. That's next. Before we go, Uncle Jimmy joins us. The Browns are trying to upset the Chiefs Sunday, and Uncle Jimmy says there's only one way they can do that. Let's hear it, Unc.
Hey, man, y'all know just like the rest of America knows that the Cleveland Browns don't stand a snowball's chance in hell of defeating the Kansas City Chiefs.
Agreed.
And it's just that simple.
Agreed.
The only way the Cleveland Browns can beat the Kansas City Chiefs is going to be if they cheat. And I'm telling you right now, America, if the Cleveland Browns win that game, I can guarantee you Uncle Jimmy going to demand a recount. And I ain't going to accept the results until I get it. Y'all do understand that it is unhumanly possible for the Cleveland Browns to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. Bro, let me tell you 3 things that I'm willing to do if the Chiefs lose to the Cleveland Browns.
Oh, God.
1, I'm willing to buy a copy of Marcellus Wiley's book. Oh, now notice I just said I buy it. I ain't say I'm going to read it like I did Acho. 2, some of y'all ain't going to believe this, but Uncle Jimmy's willing to give up big girls if the Kansas City Chiefs lose that game.
You mean this?
It ain't going to be but a week. But 3rd, I might need your help for this, Acho. Uncle Jimmy's willing to have lunch with the Proud Boys in the Cracker Barrel of their choice if I end up having to lose this game. Acho, it might be some uncomfortable conversations going on with some undelusional Caucasians. I need your help, bro.
Oh, Acho gotta be there to referee that one. That's funny. Fox Bet Live is next.